Welcome to Bendy. Join your two favorite transatlantic weirdos, Andy from Ireland and Beth from the USA, as we take you on a journey through every topic imaginable, with insight, vulnerability, and fart jokes, or in other words, the complete human experience.
Hello and welcome to Bendy, a podcast about being flexible and all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young and I'm one of your amiable, steadfast hosts. Joining me as always is our other amiable and steadfast host, Beth Martin. Beth, the pleasure as always.
Thank you for the compliment today. Last week I was stinky, so...
And dumb, I think, as well.
Dumb and stinky. Amiable is good. That's more, I mean, they're all representation of who I am and who we are.
Sure.
But yeah, nailed it this week, Andy.
I think, I want to represent all the facets of us as human beings, complex and stinky as we are, right?
So, Andy, what's the crack?
Oh, wow, you asked me.
I am. I'm turning the tables and using your own lingo on you.
I appreciate it. I'm befuddled, but I'm on it.
Okay.
So I think I said to you, I have my choir. It's been going well. Mm-hmm. It's been busy. Mm-hmm. But the other thing, sort of major thing, and we mentioned this before we started recording, was that I have started smelling smoke randomly. I am going to see the doctor about it next week. I'm smelling smoke when it's not there.
That's so weird.
It is so weird.
You're going to get a lot of listeners that are going to be diagnosing you.
Probably.
And maybe one of them will be right.
Yeah. And will this medical information arrive too late? Who knows? But I am taking I'm just going to see the doctor about it next week.
Proactive.
But it's just I am. But it's such a weird thing. Like it's one of these things you start researching, which is never a good idea, but I did it anyway, and found that it happens a lot to a lot of people. Apparently it's a common side effect of like flus and colds, but it's also related to neurological stuff as well. So that's why I'm getting it checked out. But it's an odd sensation.
You haven't had Have you ever had COVID?
I have. Remember my first America trip when I was going out to see you guys?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
But I think that's the only time, as far as I know.
Because I know that that's a side effect, which means that it can happen for all viruses.
Oh yeah, that's true. So yeah, it could be. That's interesting. So who knows? But yeah, that's been my fun update for the week. What the crack for me this week is I'm smelling smoke that's not there.
And you're working with children. You're like, "Are you smelling smoke?"
Yeah, I was.
No, Mr. Young.
And they were like,
I'm in
at least
kindergarten.
one of them, in fairly dismissive fashion, said, "No, it's definitely just you." And I'm like, "Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate your honesty."
Super weird. I'm glad you're going to the doctor though, because I'm gonna once we're done, I'm gonna do what I do, and I'm gonna call Dr. Google with my fingers and see what they have to say.
He has loads of juicy ideas, things like that.
He could also be female.
You're right. That's true. They will have lots of juicy ideas.
There you go.
Yes, thank you. So, what's the It's quite all right. I want to ask Beth a question before she stops laughing. Damn it, it's too slow.
Too slow.
So, Beth, what's the crack with you this week?
I joined a gym.
Ooh.
And how's that going? I live in a small town, and I'm used to being in a big city with big gyms. This gym is awesome. They have a PTSD dog that's there all the they have a dog, and I was like, I'm $1 million fine. And
yes,
so they also have like a water massage chair. They have all of this like recovery equipment, and I have restless leg syndrome, and they have this like pulsing thing that you put on your, I'm getting it all wrong, but you put it on your leg and it basically like improves the circulation.
Like that sort of electro stimulation type of thing. One of those.
I'm really uneducated around this, but it's more like it squeezes and releases, and so it creates better circulation. your body, which is, I also
Yes.
have fibromyalgia, and so it's good for that too. So I'm excited more. I don't even know if I'm going to work out. I think I'm just going to go lay in the chair and then like get my body squozed
Hell yeah.
and pet the dog.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like a dog at a gym is incredible. Like,
Why wouldn't
so does
you?
it feel? I agreed. Does it feel like very modern, or does it feel? Because how big is your town in terms of population? Do you have an
It's
vague idea?
it's about like 15,000 people.
Oh wow,
Yeah. But it's
my
30 minutes from any other town.
okay,
So it's not like it's, the urban sprawl. We're part of San Diego County, but we're, 20 minutes from the nearest town.
okay,
And then
okay,
we're
interesting.
15 minutes from, we live out in the country. And so we're about 15 minutes from the Main Street. We literally have a Main Street. That
Nice.
is the Main
It's called
Street.
it's called Main
It's
Street.
called Main
Amazing.
Street. Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, it's very
So
American.
literal. It is. That sounds amazing. I mean, like there's 40,000 people here, and can't imagine them putting a dog in a gym in this country at all.
It's,
All the gyms are very much weight
yeah,
machines and about strength
yeah,
building
yeah.
and a little bit of recovery stuff, but not very much.
It's, I was really impressed.
That
I
is
was really
good. Yeah.
impressed. And there's a big military or ex-military and current military presence because we're right by Camp Pendleton, and
Uh-huh.
San Diego obviously has a really big Navy. And so they're working with those folks on, I think, just, health, wellness, but also like recovery. And they focus a lot on holistic mental, like, not to bring in yoga, but physical, like, physical,
Sure.
mental. And she was like, and we're adding the spiritual aspect. We're going to get a coach in that is going to serve sort of like a therapist. And then across the way, this is bringing out my super woo woo self. There's a Reiki studio that's opening.
Ooh,
I
wow, that's
know.
amazing.
I know. And guess how much it is?
How much?
Like,
Oh,
I
wait,
remember going to a big gym that I'm not going to name.
okay.
This is probably 5 years ago, and just
Mm-hmm.
dropping like $1,500 to start, the membership and all of that. It's $16 every 2 weeks.
That's mad.
So I
That's
cannot
amazing.
go and feel great about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. Wow, I think that's definitely the bonus about are the benefits of not living in big cities and things like that, right? I mean, you've got things like that are a wee bit more tailored and aren't going to cost you the earth. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's awesome.
And people are really nice and sweet. And
Yeah, that's good.
it's never, sometimes in the big cities, I feel a little like, uh, I'm not cool enough to be there. And these people are
Yep.
like the nicest people I've ever met. So I'm excited about it. But I have
That's
to
yeah,
go
because
in and I have to get my whole, like, they have this machine that you step on and it tells you your BMI and it tells you
ooh,
what parts of your body need like more like work and what parts
how
need more like bone
interesting.
density and all this stuff. It's crazy. So I'm going to do that, and I will maybe give you the results next
Yeah, sure.
week.
Depending
If
on how you
they're
feel. Yeah,
super
yeah.
embarrassing, I have nothing to hide. But if I'm super ripped, I'm probably going to be like,
Do-
"Hey, I'm super ripped."
So, so the results came back and it said, "Bro, you're totally swole."
Bro, you're swell.
You're so swole, bro.
Exactly.
You're like, well, I can't argue with technology.
I know.
It's got me figured out.
I'm gonna go to Venice Beach and wear my thong and my rollerblades
Oh,
now.
I mean, that's the life that you're destined for if
I
that's what the
think
machine's
so.
telling
I
you.
think so. I think so.
Perfect.
Yes. Do you want to talk
Um,
about our topic this week?
yes, absolutely. So our topic this week is friendship, which is something. It's something I think about a lot, especially as a guy, because especially as a guy, when
It,
you're getting older, I find friendship is harder. I speak. I can only speak from my experience, certainly in that way, but I see more women carrying successful friendships further on into their life than men. I see a lot of men who end up, um, dropping friendships or just not making the effort to keep a friendship going and things like that.
mhm.
So we thought it would be quite interesting to have a wee discussion about that.
Hmm. And I'm excited. to get a more masculine perspective on friendship. And
Yeah.
also, I think selfishly, this whole podcast is helping us develop our friendship deeper.
Yeah.
And so I just want to know, how to be a better friend to Andy, because it's all
Thank you.
about you.
That's true. It is. It is. At the headline.
Yeah, but can I just jump in real quick?
Uh huh.
I wanna. I threw a test balloon at Mike last night, and I was like, "What does
Mm-hmm.
friendship mean to you?"
Ooh.
And it was interesting. He had a similar response where he was like, "Friendships are harder as I get older,"
Yeah.
and he didn't bring up, if male or female or, masculine, feminine, but
Yep.
he's like, there's kids, there's work, there's, and all of a sudden priorities shift.
It's true.
And it's interesting because I think I am, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sort of like a gatherer,
You are.
like, or a
I think we
community
both
builder.
are.
Yeah, we both are. I think maybe that's why
Yeah.
we get along,
Yes.
among
One of the
other
reasons.
reasons. But,
Mm-hmm.
um, he would gather everybody and we would go to Burning Man. He would gather everybody, we would go camping. He gathers his dude bros, and they're going to Vegas in November. Um,
Nice.
but it's hard,
It
and
is.
it's hard to sustain. And he also said that COVID has impacted friendships, and those 2 years that we had where we really we were just all focused on surviving, that I think made everything a little bit harder because of that too. So I just wanted to get your take on
No,
that.
I would very much. I mean, I feel like in terms of friendship, I'm kind of I feel like a bit more of an outlier than a lot of guys I know. And again, all of this is just from my own experience and in my life and stuff. But just to address some of those points that Mike was talking about. I mean, uh, certainly I don't have kids and stuff like that, which makes it easier to, keep up with my friends, spend time with people. But I have friends who have kids. We make the effort to check in with each other all the time. We, maybe once, twice a year, get together, do something, at least
Mm-hmm.
like spend a weekend together or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like I certainly have found, well, actually, sorry, just to go to talk about the COVID of it all as well. That definitely impacted things, and but it really hammered home to me how important it was to keep those friendships going, to find ways around that. Sometimes that didn't work. I
Mm-hmm.
remember early on having like Zoom get-togethers and like having a drink and like sitting around on Zoom, and it was awful. Didn't work at all. It was just everybody felt really awkward, and you were talking over each other, and it was just grim.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I found a more successful version of that as we went on. So there was a really sort of there's a website called Board Game Arena, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and via Board Game Arena you can play multiplayer digital versions of multiplayer board games, and we would get together on video and we just play games together. And what was great about that was rather than sitting around on video and just like looking at each other and going, "Oh, COVID's awful, isn't it?" And it was just really depressing because that's what happened.
Yeah.
We played games, and then so the conversation tended to be a bit more playful. It was just so it felt it's what we needed from that time, which was something relaxing. Not sort of not the sort of taking us away from the reality of what was going on at the time rather than really dwelling on it. So that was really good. I think that was a good sort of workaround. But I also have friends. The one thing we were allowed to do, I think my dog's trying to break in.
Sasha, get in here.
Sasha. The one thing we were allowed to do was go on hikes and things like that for some of the time anyway. And I had a friend who organised hikes, and it was another great way to spend more time with some people that I only kind of knew, and to just kind of get out and breathe fresh air. So it was about finding workarounds. But I think that's certainly something I've always felt quite good about doing and sort of being on top of. I feel like I've went round in a circle on what this question was, but I don't know if that's answered.
It wasn't really a question. It was just more like, do you?
An open-ended.
Yeah. What do you think about all the things that I
Like,
just said?
sure. I mean, I think just generally, I think, like, if I find people that I like in my life, I make an effort to spend time with them, and I've always done that. And I think as a result of that, I've never really struggled to make friends. And like, I don't say that as a boast. There's certainly other parts of my life that I don't do great in, but like that has always been something that has come relatively easily to me. I feel very lucky for that. I also do think I work on that to make it happen as well. But it's also, I think one of the big problems, certainly with guys in friendship and sort of, you know, bridging that gap is this sort of, is being able to be vulnerable, being able to put yourself out there, and sometimes it doesn't go right. Sometimes you're embarrassed. Sometimes you're like, I made all this effort. I put this thing together. It was terrible. Just kind of picking yourself up from those things and trying again. You know, just learning from that experience. And I think that's really kind of served me quite well in terms of, you know, building and maintaining friendships.
I have questions.
Mm-hmm.
As always, I printed off a list.
I've got some questions too.
Okay.
Yes, please go on.
Do you have like a closest friend, or do you
Like
have
a best friend?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Sorry, all of Andy's friends. It's me.
Fine. I mean, yes. Obviously, it's Sasha, number one with a bullet.
It's true. You guys, for our listeners, they make the cutest Halloween duo ever. My favorite was when you were Quint from Jaws and Sasha was Jaws. That was like when I knew we were destined to be friends.
Yeah, like I found her shark costume recently. And I think I'm gonna put it on for our pet therapy visits next week.
You totally should. It's it's so cute.
It's Halloween.
I know. I would dress her up like, if she would let me, I would dress her up every day.
She likes it. I mean, she doesn't like things in her head because I bought her a lion's mane one time and she did not like it. But I have like her Star Trek uniform, as you've seen, her shark outfit.
With the tiny with a tiny phaser.
Oh, so good. That's such a good outfit. We'll have to post pictures of things
I
like
know.
that.
I was thinking that too.
I'll send them through. Anyway, right. I digress. So, I don't think so, and I have always pushed back against that sort of idea. I think it's just the whole sort of best friend thing seems to be like this unit that is like you can't sort of get inside the unit, which I understand how that gives somebody comfort, but I don't think I like have a lot of friends who I'm very close with. Do you know what I mean? Who I feel I can talk to about so many things, who I know love me, who I know that I love, and so I've never felt the urge or the need to have a best friend in that way. I think just because of that. So yeah, do you think you have a best friend, or would you have a?
I do.
Yes.
I have like layers of friendships, I think.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's true for everybody, but I have friends that I've had since like middle school and elementary school. I'm lucky in that regard. Sometimes you can't. I'm like a bed bug. You just can't get rid of me.
Yeah.
But I would say the person I have, like I would say she's as close to a soulmate friendship as I could possibly have. We met in college. She's the reason I'm fun. I think have I told you about?
I think you have.
Okay.
I'm waiting for a name, and I think it's a name I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's Becca. Hi, Becca. What's up, dude? So we ended up. I'm not going to get into the whole story because that's a whole episode. But we ended up being roommates in college because our roommates that we had at the time hated each other, and we were like, "Why don't you move in with each other?" And we ended up rooming together for about 8 months, and it was the best 8 months at the time I'd ever had. We went raving. We went.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know how I got through college because I was never in class, but she's so funny. I'm just going to give an example of the kind of person that she is. She told me this story about how, like, number one, we're just there for each other. when it's really hard and like the worst things can possibly happen, she's always
Which is
there.
huge.
Yeah, flies there, is there in person, you know, like, and I actually asked her, I don't know if I've even told Mike this, but I'm telling the world, but I
Nice.
asked her, you know, if he passes, if Mike ever passes, God forbid, knock on wood, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the worst thing in the world ever happens, will you help me
Yep.
raise my children? And she was like,
Nice.
absolutely. So
That's what I'm talking
so
about.
she was telling me the story about how she was at bingo. She used to live in Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
and the name of the she decided to name the team, and this was right when the Harry Potter book had come out, Dumbledore dies
Mm-hmm.
on page blah blah blah. And so every time they would call out the name of her team, they'd be like,
Wow.
okay, team Dumbledore dies on page 800 and whatever. And everyone's screaming at her, and she was like, she makes her own fun, she's so
Sure.
funny that, you know, the adventures that we've had together, I I'm surprised we're even alive. It's just stupid fun, but you know,
Nice.
we've gotten ourselves into some pickles. So she's,
Mm-hmm.
but I also have like other people that have come into my life since then that I would also consider best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, my ex sister-in-law is amazing, and I'm so lucky I got to hang
Yes,
on to
who I've
her. You
met.
have, you went at, yes, she had, we had
Yes,
her
she's
over
awesome.
for dinner, and
Yes,
so you
she's
met,
great.
yep. And then my friend Claudia, I met at Burning Man through
Mm-hmm.
Mike, but she and I are again like soulful, like a really soulful relationship, and she is
Mm-hmm.
again been there for me in some really difficult times, and I think I for her as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful, especially through COVID, especially, you know, in difficult, these just super fucked up time,
Mm-hmm.
to have them, and the levity that they've provided and the support that they've provided, and I hope that I do that, you know, for them as well. So it's a
No,
really
that's
long answer
lovely.
to your
No,
question.
it's a great answer. Um, like, and I'm now wondering,
And
I
also
see. The thing
you.
is, yes, of course, naturally. um, I now, except I now wonder whether I should start naming names. But like, I feel if I start naming names, I will forget. I will not name somebody, and then I'll
No.
feel awful
Yeah,
about it.
and there are a bunch
Um,
that I'm not naming, and you know
yes,
they know that I love them, they know who they are, but
yes.
these are the ones that spring to mind.
But I think, yeah, as my all sort of encompassing answer to like like, there's so many people I love, and I do truly love with
Hmm.
all my heart.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's just how I've sort of, a part of me wonders whether the reason why I have never had a best friend is that there is a layer of separation, a little bit of a layer of separation from me. I don't know
Hmm.
how true that is, because I'm for the people that I can be open with, I am pretty open with them.
Hmm.
You know. But I don't know. I don't know whether there is a little bit, which is why I've never had that relationship. Or like, I feel like in my life, like I had a friend in school who, um, I really loved that. He was I was we were really close with. I think he might have been who I would have answered as my best friend. Like probably up until easily into my 20s, but as time went on, we kind of grew apart, and there was a point about 7 or 8 years ago. I can't remember when exactly. When I realized kind of it had become quite one sided,
Mm.
and I had, whenever we saw each other, it was always me organizing it. It was
Hmm.
me coming to see him,
Hmm.
me making the effort. I invited him to a house party. It was actually my housewarming party, so it must have been about 8 years or so ago. And then um, he's like, I can't make it. I'm like, no problems. Let me know when you're free. I'd love to see you. I'd love to show you the house. And then 7 years
I
passed, and
was
I
gonna
didn't
say,
get
was
word
that
from
eight
him.
years ago? Hmm.
He contacted me. Was it last year, or was it the start of this year? It was last. Maybe it was the start of this year. I can't remember. But he contacted me. I think it was last year, and it was such a kind of I don't know, microcosm of like male friendships in a way, because he was like, hey, I've been thinking about you, I really miss you.
Hmm.
Um I'm not naming him because this is going to get personal. But I miss you. I kind of miss our friendship. I often find myself thinking, what would Andy do in situations like this?
Mm.
And I'm looking at this going, yeah, I mean, what the hell? Why haven't I heard from you? Anyway.
Yeah.
And he, in an amazing thing, which is such a guy thing, he started his second message with, so no homo man, but I love you. And I'm like, you can just say I love you, it's fine. Yeah. Just got to protect that masculinity in as offensive a way as possible. And I'm like, dude.
Ouch.
But I'm like, everything about that was so. But it was, I you know, at the same time, because I'm an easy mark, and I was very touched by him actually reaching out, and I did, and I caught up with him once, and I met him, and I met his son, and that was nice, and then we texted a little bit, and once again I was like, balls in your court, and I haven't heard from him in like 8 months, I think now. So yeah.
That's hard. When you put in the effort and then it's not reciprocated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that, has burnt me in terms of, wanting to have a best friend or even think about relationships in that way,
Yeah, I had something similar. It was so long ago. Mm-hmm. But like I had a friend, like I didn't really have friends in Kentucky. I had my sister because it was, there were like 20 kids in the whole town.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to be a friend. And so moving to Oregon, there were sidewalks. I had 250, 300 kids in my school. I didn't know. And so I remember having like my first best friend in 3rd grade and being jealous that she was having other friends. And I was a horrible best friend. I really was. I was terrible. And like the concept had never been introduced to me before. I didn't know how I didn't know how to friend. I'm owning it. And I remember it was like middle school, it was like 7th or 8th grade. She started branching out, and she wasn't calling. It was like, it was all one-sided. And I remember like I was having a birthday party and I was like, Mom, should I invite this person? And my mom was like, I don't think so. And I didn't. And but for both my mom and I, that's like the biggest regret that we have.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. And it was like, we had a lot of history. There were, for a kid, like 5 years worth of friendship or 6 years worth of friendship. That's a lot. And, she was a good human, and she still is a good human. I saw her at our high school reunion, and, but I've never apologized for it. And I feel like that's kind of like hanging over me. So maybe this will
absolve you.
No, maybe I'll email her and just be like, I'm really sorry that I didn't invite you to my birthday party in 8th grade.
Sure.
Because I know it hurt her feelings. So
yeah.
And then after that, I was like, I can't do this. I can't friend. And so I didn't really until freshman year of college, with Becca, like I couldn't do it right. And so I totally understand that, and I hear that. And it is hard to break like when you don't have the reciprocation, it makes it hard.
Yes, it does. It kind of hurts, and it because like
I'm impressed that you can like share this.
Yeah.
Given the state of the world and all those things, and
I know, and
kind of where you live, it's not probably something that's talked about a lot.
No, I mean, like, it's still such a sort of it's not something that people talk about a lot here, and there's a lot of like, a lot of mental health stuff in this country, a lot of suicide and stuff like that, and I think a big part of that is because men don't talk about those connections or don't think about those things. Like, there's an idea, I think I've heard it mostly talked about UK and things like that, of like, and I wonder if you would find this would be the same in the US, of like, oftentimes men get married, and when they get married, their wife is everything. So mother, wife, lover, psychiatrist, best friend. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And
we're gonna have a relationship conversation, and I
Yeah.
like this is
This the meaty stuff.
yeah. I mean, we're already in the meaty stuff.
It's true.
Yeah, but yes, that does
You
happen to
know?
me. I've been in that relationship.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. So keep going
It's
with
so
that. Keep going with that thought.
with that thought. So like I guess so it's it's
So they
not
don't.
good in term. So they just don't talk about things, and I mean like, and it's still very much a, you know, man up, suck it up sort of culture in that way a lot of times, and it's just so damaging, you know,
Mm-hmm,
and you see it and you see the impact it has on
mm-hmm,
people,
mm-hmm.
and it's kind of hard seeing it in people and not being able to engage with it in a way, in probably, you know, in real terms, you know, like it's, people will always avoid these things by talking around it, or you know, blaming anything else rather than actually trying to deal with, you know, because the very thought of a guy talking about having his feelings hurt would, is for a lot of guys, would almost be unthinkable. It's like, you know, I don't have feelings, I'm a man, you know. I have no
Yeah.
emotions, you know. Or if you do, it's like, you know, what's wrong with you, you big girl sort of thing, you know. It's damaging, it's not good, and I still see a lot of it here, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. I think in the United States of America, um, I would say there is definitely a shift. I think it's regional,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But you know, there's obviously you still have, you know, the hoorah, like I'm a man,
Of course.
no
Sure.
hugging,
Yeah.
let's go drink beers by the bonfire, which I like to
Yeah.
drink beers by the bonfire.
Sure.
I can't eat the gluten or drink the gluten, but I can have a glass of wine
No.
by the bonfire. Things have shifted as I get older, so fun. But
Yeah.
I would say on the whole, there's a lot more. I don't want to call it necessarily femininity, but just more like self-realization that's happening.
Yeah. Like
Um,
a bit of softness, and even that's probably a
yeah, I mean,
vitriolic
there are
word.
commercials on television about how, you know, um, Michael Phelps, the swimmer, was like, get therapy, it's good. And that,
Nice.
there's a lot of that happening right now. You know, my therapist was telling me, um, people they're offering to pay double to see her because
Wow.
people are really focusing on mental health now in the
It's
United
good.
States, and it is good, and it is helping people, I think, look at themselves from,
Yeah.
that conscious observer perspective.
Yeah. And I mean, certainly my opinion on all that is that I think if everybody had therapy, it would be good for everyone on the
Mm-hmm.
planet.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
would be
it would.
better for every society everywhere. But
Yes.
like we're a million years away from that, unfortunately. Well,
Yeah.
maybe not a million years, but you know, a long time away from it.
We're not going to be around that long, but.
No, we are not, sadly. Um, but yeah, so it's just, you know, and I do. It's an interesting in that regard as well. And I would be interested to hear your thoughts on this from that. As a guy, I feel like I have various modes of guy I am in friendships. You know, so like I have various friendships where I have to be more closed off, more like I'm still always a little bit vulnerable than I think the average person in those groups. But I'm talking to guys about, you know, rugby or
Yeah.
physical stuff, or like, you know, board games, or do you know what I mean, like stuff you can put your hands on, and you know,
You're
you
not like,
know,
I meditated with my crystal and it was awesome.
exactly. They look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Like I sometimes honestly, when people have been frustrating me and they won't like leave me alone for whatever reason, I sometimes like really like veer hard into the sort of, you know, the woo woo,
Mm-hmm.
as I hate,
Mm-hmm.
but
I do
you know what
too.
I'm talking about, the
It just,
spiritual side of things.
yeah, it's a term that people can grab onto and understand what we're talking
Yes.
about.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't appreciate it either, even though I use the
No,
term.
I don't like
Yep.
it either. Yeah, so do I. And I mean, but it covers that whole area pretty quickly,
Yep.
and people will get it,
Yep.
sadly. And it's a good way to kind of, you know, like a kind of a fly spray, go away from me. Because they're just like the kind of recoil that you're talking about, like star signs or drawing cards or whatnot. It's great.
I think
Oh, this is a lot of information about how I
right.
deal with people.
I would
All my secrets.
right. I would say I don't feel that at all.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's just how I'm built or the experiences that I've gone through, but I don't present myself differently to anybody.
Yeah,
Whether that's good or
that's
bad,
good.
I don't know.
No, I think that's healthier, for sure.
Yeah. Well, let me think about
Like,
it. No, I pretty much don't. There are certain things I won't talk about. If I know I'm in like a
yes,
certain crowd, I'm like, this is not an area that I want to, I'm not going to reveal this part of myself necessarily, but
yeah,
I don't become, you know, more broy or like more like, oh, that's, mem- brunch, let's go to
yeah,
brunch and have
yeah,
bottomless
yeah.
mimosas
Ladies,
or whatever,
yeah,
right? I don't.
yeah.
I've always sort of been who I am, and
Yeah, that's good. It's
I've
healthy.
also thought through kind of like my female friendships, my friendships with people that don't necessarily have a gender or subscribe to that,
Hmm.
and my male friend, like all of the different. Do I change? Do I um, have a problem having male versus female versus non-gender specific friendships? And I really don't.
I mean, like I think I just love people from all sort of different walks of life and
Hmm.
kind of what a just interacting with them, spending time with them, and also what they bring into my life as well. Do you know what I mean? And how
Hmm.
it changes me.
Hmm.
Um, like I think probably. I mean, I think I've always had female friends, but like I think as certainly my life has went on, I've been more comfortable with that and kind of less. I think it's probably the same in the US, but there is very much an idea that you can't really be friends with the opposite sex a lot of the time, which is
Yep.
kind of ludicrous, really. I just like, lovely people who I've met in my life. I don't really care
Hmm.
what their situation is,
Hmm.
or, um,
Do you ever feel taken advantage of because that's how you are?
yes,
Same.
very much so. I, I think I'm better at that now than I used to be, and I'm better at drawing a line and stuff, and I'm better at walking away from things that don't serve me or don't aren't good for me just generally, I guess, because I have felt very angry and bitter about those things in the past.
Hmm. Same.
Yeah. It's, because I want to be able to help people, but like, it's, people are a product of, the environment they grew up in,
Hmm.
the people that knew growing up, experiences that they've had. I don't blame people necessarily, but I think some people tend to leech off people like that, whether they know it or not. Really.
We call those energy vampires.
We do call them energy
There's a book
vampires. Yeah,
called Dodging Energy Vampires. I don't know if I've recommended it to you.
you have recommended to me.
Okay.
I've have it in my Kindle library. It's still not one I've read because I
I
did buy
listen.
it
I do
actually.
it on Audible, so I like take a
Yeah, it's a good
walk.
idea.
Yeah, and it's there's some meditations that are pretty helpful. It's helped me break through some things that have not been like
Okay,
relationships that have not been healthy.
like I oh god, I'm really worried to listen to this, but I like ended one earlier this year that I was not good for me,
Hmm.
and it was very hard because I wanted him to kind of understand why it was happening, and but it was I knew that he would be very upset about it, and he was,
Hmm.
and you know, but at the same time, I knew that the alternative was still fairly damaging to me, and I couldn't keep
A
doing it, so it was
tumor.
just yes, very much so, and it sucks because he's still somebody I care about, but the relationship was killing me.
Yeah. We're and that's the thing. We're both empathetic people,
Yes,
and that just we get caught and it takes us longer, I think, than a normal human to extricate ourselves when we're like, oh no,
Yes.
this is not a good idea, or this is sucking me, literally like sucking the life out of me.
Yeah.
um, and it's a pattern tend to follow in my lifetime, which
Hmm.
I'm working on a lot.
I it's interesting because I think we both do it, and I think we've talked about it before,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm better for it now. I think I have more sort of equitable friendships by and large, and if I find somebody's kind of put me in that position, I just kind of gradually draw back from the relationship, and because like I'm very lucky to have so many lovely nourishing friendships in my life, I just get to spend time with other people instead, you know.
I agree. So, um, I don't want to go too far down this road if you're not comfortable, but
Uh-huh.
um, how did you grow as a result of sort of pulling back from that friendship or friendships that you've had to pull back from? Has there
um
been growth on your end?
that's a good question.
Thanks.
I You're welcome. uh I think it has made me feel more resilient. Like I think in my life it has been a big battle to um find self-esteem, I guess, or I'm not sure whether self-esteem is the right word, but in that sort of area, that's the sort of ballpark we're talking about. um Having concrete examples of seeing something that is not good for me and taking action to deal with it, even if that action is very slow and takes far longer than it probably should have,
Mm-hmm.
definitely helps me feel more resilient and more um, to have more, have more self respect, have more self esteem, and things like that. Um, but it is it's always I always find ways to kind of sideswipe that, or make it, minimize that.
Right.
But it's interesting. But it's always it's when I'm reflecting on it with friends, like, and when I'm talking about it now, I can see it more clearly, and I'm like, oh, actually, I'm doing pretty good. I can handle situations way more calmly. I am um, looking out for myself more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think those things in particular, or that relationship in particular, has allowed me to see to respect myself some more. So I think even if that's by an incremental amount, it's
Mm-hmm.
still something.
That's interesting that that's a key piece of it. And I hadn't thought about that. Self respect
Mm.
and boundaries and like respecting yourself enough to be like, okay, this isn't working out for me.
Yeah.
What do I need in this? And if it's not working, then I'm going to pull a 180 and drive the other direction.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I think for me, um, it's allowing me to spot behavior types a little bit better
Mm-hmm.
so that I don't even go down that road at all.
Yeah.
Because it's honestly, it's just exhausting.
It is.
And it's it's a waste of everyone's time. It's a waste of everyone's energy. Um, and uh, I'm just I'm proud of you for realizing that. Good job.
Thanks. Thank
I'm
you.
clapping with my two little fingers
Thank
together.
you.
You're welcome.
Um, it's such a I don't like I had a oh, I don't know where I was going with this, but I had a nice chat with a friend recently, and it was just like, it's worth seeing those things. It's worth kind of like um, acknowledging that stuff, and kind of I say, even if it does take a while, like, I really want to help people that I care about, but you have to draw a line in the sand somewhere, I guess.
I did not
Uh,
understand what you just said. You want to help people
okay,
what?
I'm it's really important to like help people. I think, especially people that you care about.
Gotcha.
Um, but um, I think sometimes you've got to draw a line in the sand and be like, this is as much as I can do for that person,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've just got to like look out for yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But finding that can be very difficult sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So, how do you like express and receive care from your
Oh,
friendships?
poorly. Um, I think I've told you about this before, and this will be really good for the 18 to 30 demographic talking about a 30-year-old movie. Um, there's a scene in Army of Darkness. Um, so in Army of Darkness, the main character is an asshole, and he's sent off on a mission, and he does a very bad job in the mission. And he's returning back on the mission, and everybody's delighted to see him, and they're like, it's you, you're the chosen one, he's here, he's arrived.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, yeah. And then he's like, get the fuck out of my face. That scene is, to me, like the Rosetta Stone for understanding how Andy relates to praise and, love and whatnot from friends. It's and like legitimately, like in terms of like the amount of time, like cause,
So
and
funny.
how lucky I am, the amount of times I've arrived, people are so happy to see me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, belay your expectations, all right, let's just take it down a few notches. Or even in like situations like when I've been out in Australia and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're Irish" or whatever, and I'm like, "Look, I'm not one of those fun Irish who's gonna go out and get drunk with you," and I kind of am a little.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, hold on a second. But I'm like, I'm not gonna be,
You
top
don't
of the
get
morning
shit
to
faced,
you.
shit faced.
I won't get shit faced most of the time. I won't get shit faced.
I'm like, yeah.
Who knows? I have my
I'm not.
moments,
I'm
but
not
not so
gonna
much
put that label
anymore
on you.
these days. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that's how I receive self care, poorly, or not self care.
Get the fuck out with
Get,
that
out,
praise.
get the fuck out of my face. Yeah. I mean, not in those words, but that energy.
I love Bruce Campbell.
I know.
He's the star.
People
Okay,
know.
everyone just go. I'm like hashtag Army
Yeah.
of Darkness because it's one of the best movies ever made.
Pause the podcast right now, watch Army of Darkness, then come back, and then you'll understand completely what we're talking about.
That was a good synopsis, though. You didn't even mention that he had a chainsaw for a hand, so.
I didn't even need
And that was when it he's jumping up into the sky and then they like connect,
so
and you're like,
good.
what? We have it on DVD, and I'm like, what age is 7 to 9 appropriate to watch Army of
That's
Darkness?
true. It's not too many upset. Well, no,
It's just more gross than scary.
It is more gross. The first two, it's a hard no, but the Army of
the
Darkness you could
Evil
probably get
Dead
away with.
movies, Sam Raimi.
It's more a
so
comedy.
good.
But anyway, we digress.
We did. I love digressing. It's my favorite thing.
Hell yeah.
Even in my poetry, I digress.
I still do a hell yeah because of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Thanks, America.
I was really this was back when it was the WWF.
Yeah.
Before like the World Wildlife Federation was like, wait a minute.
Everything about that story is
It was
hilarious.
Monday Night Nitro.
It was?
And
no, that was WCW. It was Monday Night Raw.
Oh, well, no. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because that's when I watched it as well.
Yeah, college. I think it was my sophomore year. And
good
I had
times.
these two friends, one of which I'm still friends with. The other one, I have no idea what happened to them. And I would go over there and we would make these lemonade vodka Slurpee things with Country 10 lemonade and just scream at the TV. And it was so fun. It was so fun.
That's the best. I'm going to a show, not this Sunday, but next, and I cannot wait. It's like it's a Dublin-based group, and it's always so much fun. Like, 100% the way to engage with wrestling, because, people are like, it's fake, and I'm like, oh, really? It's fake? No way. Are you serious?
It's like a soap opera. It's the best.
Exactly.
It's a soap opera with wrestling. It's so good.
The best way to engage with it is to, buy into the fiction completely. So
Absolutely.
what we love to do is, like, whenever the referee is clearly being pulled off to one side, going, "Ref, what are you doing? Look around, he's right. He's doing
It's right there."
It's so much fun. It's like, look behind you and, like, Panto. But, yeah. I can't even remember. What were we? Oh, yes. So, okay. So
Receiving and giving care in a friendship.
and mine, and I went down a tangent about so
Wrestling.
poorly. I mean, I'm good, I think, at serving other people, and I've got better at taking receiving care from other people, very much so. And like, but it has been a tough path for me. What about you?
I'm really good at giving care. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really bad at receiving care.
Yeah,
Like
I think we're similar.
I actively like I'll maneuver to not be in the line of sight.
Yes.
And it takes a lot for me to say like here's what's going on with me. I need
Yeah.
support. Like I can't like I think you and our yoga friends, God bless them,
Mm-hmm.
you all know who you are, because there's enough that I can't name them all, but that really got me through some difficult times.
Yeah.
Just being able to be like, I'm not okay, like things are not okay, and everyone being like, it's gonna be okay, or how are you, or checking in on me.
Yep.
um but generally, uh I think it took me, and now I'm gonna get like super personal, but that's
Mm-hmm.
I don't is what this is about. But I had two miscarriages before I had our first child,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember just being like, I'm not okay. Something's wrong. Like I had after my dad died, I just had so much grief in my body that it was almost like I couldn't carry life with so much grief, and
Yeah.
I knew that, and so I ended up calling my friend, who lives in San Francisco, and just being like, I need you, and I need you to take me away somewhere, and I
Mm-hmm.
just need to heal. And she was like, "Yep, I know where we're
Sign me up.
going. Here's the weekend." And that was really the first time I was. I want to say I was like 31 or
Uh-huh.
something. It
Uh-huh.
took me 31 years to say I need support and I need
Very
help.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, uh, you know, I feel
So
like it might
I'm getting
even
better
be
at it.
long.
I'm getting
Yeah,
better at
100. That's good. I think, and it is like a learned, because I think we're both similar in that way, right?
it. Mm-hmm.
Um, and like even like compliments and stuff like that, I'm just like, yeah, fuck off, you know. It's
It's
just
hard to
not.
receive a compliment.
Oh,
It makes me
it's
really uncomfortable. I like break
yeah, I
out in
just want
goosebumps and I don't know what to do with my body.
exactly. I just want to
I start
recoil
like pitting
physically.
out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, shut up.
Like
Um,
that's why I don't like birthdays or being the center of attention
yes,
or things like that, because it's so uncomfortable.
yeah. I like. I don't mind now like doing stuff on stage or whatever because I'm like I am a buffoon. I don't care,
Yeah.
and it makes it easier to be on there.
But you're on stage with other people too.
It's true. Thank goodness. Um, so like that, but it's definitely took a while because I think for a long time I was exactly the same. I was like I don't want this to be all about me. I'm not interested in that. Um, and it frustrating because I feel like there are things that there's certain aspects that precludes me from some stuff that I would really quite enjoy that I've found ways into like the singing or
Mm-hmm.
like improv and things like that I've done. um but it took me a long time to kind of get past that as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sorry. I'm marketing as you're talking.
Like,
I'm listening to
I
you, I promise.
no, I know you are, and I mean, it's all like I mean, and despite all that, I still think I still have thought multiple times in my life what would my wrestling entrance music be. It's shifted multiple times, but I always have one that's like
Mm-hmm.
percolating for a while,
What is
just
it?
because. So, my first one was the entirety of Monster Magnet's album Space Lord.
Space
Played all
Lord, mother. I
exactly
have that.
so good. So it's that the my entrance music. So it's about
But it
45
would be
minutes
the
long
whole
that
song.
album.
I know. It's
It'll be
like
no
most.
no 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 no
Okay.
no no no. It'll be the whole album. The whole album gets
Oh!
played, and then I come out halfway through Space Lord.
I thought it was.
Just making them wait because they know they're getting the good stuff. I like again. I don't like people looking at me, and that's what I think
You're
about things like that.
I'm like watching you in bed with your thought bubble.
And I'm like,
Walking in.
in that thought bubble, I'm sitting backstage while everybody's going, "Where is this prick? Come on, he was supposed to be here like 10 minutes ago."
The song's
And
still
I'm like,
playing. And
I
you and
like,
Sasha are in your like wrestling gear.
hell yeah. Oh, that's the dream. One day.
What would my? I'm gonna have to come back to you on that. I
Yeah,
think
have a
it
think
would be
about it.
the
It's a
whole
very
album
important
for Dark Side
question.
of the Moon, obviously,
Yeah, hell yeah.
um, because I've
My
listened
my
to that song or the album every night since I was 19.
that's yeah. I haven't listened to it in a long time. I must give it a listen.
Oh my
Actually, it's been
gosh,
too
I
long.
can't even talk to you anymore.
I know. I
This
just have to.
podcast is over.
It's over. Okay, delete. uh, did I? So I have a friend. I think I've told you this before. A friend who is a wrestler.
No.
So she is based in London. She's called Rhea O'Reilly. You can look her up. She's awesome. Um, so I last time I saw her, I talked about my most recent wrestling plan, which is what I wanted to do was, my wrestling character would be a yogi, and I would come out and be like, guys, we need to stop all this violence. We need to like stop punching people. We're just gonna get in the ring. We're gonna do some yoga together, and people will be like boo, and like until I was doing some sort of pose, and somebody would come up behind me and like suplex me or whatever,
Yeah. You're
And I'm
on
like,
down dog, and all of a sudden you get him in.
yeah. And like eventually, like I keep building up a bit. So eventually, I come out and I set a table down so people can see me better, and I'm doing yoga on the table, and then somebody puts me through the table. And it's
I have
I've really
it.
thought.
You're on a table, on a stand-up paddleboard, on a chair,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm already working on your website in my brain.
So I just need I just need to be able to wrestle, and I'm set. Just that small thing.
I love it. Okay,
Right.
so what do you want for like future friendships?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I know, I just thought of
Um,
it with my brain.
have you got one?
No, I was gonna.
An answer? Okay.
No, it literally just flew into my brain.
Okay. I
Oh no, I
want
know now. Yeah, okay.
I want to have sustainable friendships. My favorite friendships, and I have a lot of these, are people who I'm maybe not in touch with them for a few months because life. When we see each other, it's like nothing's changed. We're picking up exactly where we left off. Great buds, chatting, really kind of lovely, connection. And I have so many rich, lovely friendships like that. So I just want that in perpetuity, and I want to keep adding to that.
That's good. That's good. I think I would like. I need. I need to do a better. I fall into procrastination zone where it's
Uh-huh.
almost like I'm paralyzed to do anything, to
Mm-hmm.
respond to texts, to respond to emails,
Yeah.
and I'll go like weeks like that. And I
Yep.
don't reach out to people and I don't respond to emails and I just don't.
Yep.
I just can't. I just don't. And I don't know why that is. I mean, I have some theories, but that's another podcast. Um so I would like to be a more proactive friend.
Yeah.
I think I would love to keep selfishly, I would love to keep traveling with our yoga friends because it's so fun
Yeah.
when we all get
Yeah.
together. And it really, like, we can talk about it more, but we took a trip to Portugal in July, and
Yeah.
it was literally one of the best weeks of my life. It was so fun. And I'm like,
It was.
it reignited my desire to travel, to reconnect with people, to be a better friend. And now I'm like back in procrastination land. But I
Sure.
think yeah, like traveling with people that I love would be at the top of the list. And then I'm I just moved to this new place, and
Mm-hmm.
so I found a couple people that I think are my people, but I would really like to grow some friendships here,
Yeah.
where I'm planted. So, and it's
Yeah.
harder than it's just harder than I thought it would be. And I actually quite a few of the friendships that I have all started at the pickup line at school, and
Yes, you
all of
said
us just
that.
like standing around, and that's where I get my like daily socialization.
Yep.
You know, because I do
No,
a
that's
lot of
nice. That's a good
like
answer.
homework and working from home, and so it's hard to meet people. So
Oh, absolutely. Nice. Awesome. Um, shall we start moving into the end section now, do you think?
yeah,
We're getting into that sort of time. Um, So, Beth, what's bringing you joy this week?
I have a few. Well, I think it's this. Honestly,
The
it's the
podcast?
podcast.
Awesome.
Like I woke up this morning and I was like, "Oh, it's podcast day."
Yeah, it's true.
Which normally, I know it's right when I'm not like, I got to do this thing,
Yeah, I hear you.
right? And I get,
It's true.
I got to do this thing quite often. And
Yes.
so, and I'm really like, I'm nerding out, but like, you know, working on the marketing, working on the website. Just, I don't
Yep.
want to get too far because it's so boring for other people, but I really, really dig it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I know you do.
I just, yeah, I love the opportunity to talk to you. I love the opportunity, like you see all the stuff I'm doing in the background, and it's just
Yep.
fun to. It's just this is so fun, and it's
It is.
fun to. I'm like really going so far out of my comfort zone, sharing things that like most people don't know, and I'm
Yeah.
really throwing it out there, and I'm surprised that I don't feel like crap about it. I feel pretty good about it, so.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. Great
Yeah.
answer. Um,
What's your joy, Andy Young?
so now I feel like an ass because my joy is about a video game.
That's good. There is no there. That's the thing
I
about
know.
joy. There are no rules.
Exactly. I'm teasing. So, and it's just, I mean, it's why I kind of like all sort of forms of media in all ways. Always, it's always I always look for things that surprise me and kind of affect me in ways I'm not expecting. So, I played through a game in one night very recently called Venba.
Vemba
Uh, so VEN
and Venda.
B
Ven
B A
Venba.
Venba.
That's really hard to
Venba.
say. Venba.
I know.
Venba.
Venba. And it's about an Indian family who moves to Canada to try to make it work over there. And the story is told through vignettes about them preparing food at various times in like 20 or 30 years of their life. And that depicts their relationships and the passing of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, so not only are you seeing them grow and seeing them age, you're also learning how to cook biryani, or you're learning how to like
Wow.
it's really great. And it really, made me laugh, made me cry. I've got up here on my screen a vegetable biryani recipe I want to going to try soon.
Yeah. So you
uh,
actually implement the things that you're doing in the video game in the real world.
I mean, it's not a straight one-to-one, but it's very much the whole
Are you
the
actually
gameplay
cooking in
stuff.
real life? I guess is my question. Or are
No,
you
you're not
cooking in the video
cooking.
game?
You're cooking in the video game.
Okay.
You're cooking in the video game.
Don't forget
Yeah.
to cook for yourself in real life.
Fine.
I
I
know it's
guess.
like playing Sims. I remember playing and I was
Yes.
like I realized like I hadn't showered in like 3 days. I hadn't fed myself in 8 hours, but my sim
But you're
was like showered, fed,
immaculately dressed.
totally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I was
yeah.
just like I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh my god.
Wait a minute. Um, but it was just such a kind of like, and I'm really kind of love unconventional narratives in terms of another really good one. Just in that vein is a game called it's either called Unpacking or Unpacked, and it's a game about unpacking boxes from a move into your house. But and it's set over like 6 or 7 levels, and it's about this girl's life, her growing up, the relationships that she goes through, the breakup that she goes through. But it's such a interesting way of storytelling in that, like whenever she moves in with her partner, he doesn't leave her much room in the cupboards for her stuff, and so you can already see a bit of unbalance in their relationship, and it just those wee sort of narrative elements I find, and telling a story in that way I find fascinating. And this Venba game does something similar in terms of it tells you a story through food basically, which is just really lovely. And I also, I love
Love
food.
food.
You know it.
I do.
As you know all too well.
I do. It's like when we travel, it's like it's the food tour, but that's what gets you. I'm totally digressing, but that's what gets you out.
It's true.
That's part of
I mean, like,
why you travel the way you travel and why you're
it's
out
true.
and you're doing stuff. It's because like when we were in
I
Portugal, we had juice and
uh-huh.
beer and wine in the refrigerator, and for every meal it was so great. And
You
normally I'm like
somewhere.
miserly, and I'm like, I gotta go to the grocery. I'm not gonna spend the money. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make stupid fried eggs again.
Yes.
Cause
But I'm like, let's go.
yeah, and it was
Then
so fun. And then I
on
had
our last,
and then I had raw cod.
you did have raw cod. Yeah, I forgot about
I'm
that.
like, this is edible.
It is. God, yeah, that was good. And then on our last day, I had pizza and beer for breakfast.
You did. And then I met you, and I had 3 glasses of wine.
Hell yeah, that was nice.
After yoga, because that's how we yoga.
Yeah, you know what? That was my Andy's taking the day off.
And Alexa's like, I'm gonna go get a massage and take care of myself, and we're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting lit. See you when you get back.
So this is, I know we're supposed to end, but I have to tell you this thing. I was reading an article about this Stanford professor that's been living in the jungle with monkeys for 30 years, and he has come out with a book that I don't remember the name to, but I'll put it in the notes of the show. He's basically figured out that humans have no free will.
That makes sense.
Because how we've been raised, how the system is, right?
Yeah.
What decision you made to, like, how the thing you had for breakfast can impact la 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 la. So I'm gonna get the book. I'm gonna read it, but I just want you to think about this for a future topic, because free will is always something that it's something that I think about actually quite often. And I think that it's fascinating that he's basically a primatologist. I think he's a primatologist, one who studies primates. I was almost a primatologist somewhere back in my lifetime. And but just the fact that he was able to watch primates and come up with this conclusion about humans is very interesting.
Because I
not
think
to say it's
possible.
right or wrong. I'm just
but it's an interesting theory on how things could be, and it's because it's funny you should say that, because I wonder, is it the same guy? I remember seeing a documentary a few years ago, and it was you know the Daniel Kahneman book Thinking Fast and Slow.
No.
Okay, so it's just basically about how the brain works in terms of like. I will butcher it, I won't talk about it too much, but your prefrontal cortex, or like how so much of your day-to-day activities, like the vast majority is automated, little systems, little loops that just get you where you going, but actually accessing the part of your brain that you think of as yourself is a very small part of your day. So I think, and they talked about free will in terms of they talked about free will in terms of, like, I think it was, and this is why I'm thinking it's the same thing. The monkeys, they did like an exchange system with the monkeys, and I'll butcher, but basically they found that inbuilt, coded into us, is a fear of loss that is so easily manipulated. It was very interesting, so I'll see if I can find that.
Okay, let me know. And then, I think there should be a future topic, because it's fascinating.
Yes, that sounds good. Yeah, so don't listen to this, but ignore this last 5 minutes, everyone.
Right.
We're going to talk about it again. So just use that.
Think about it.
Device that came with the podcast. I don't know. Okay.
Good work this week, Andy.
Yes, and you. Right, lovely to see you as always.
Too.
Okay, so we're going to try and do this on timing, right? So do you want to do... No, we'll just go into it and we'll do the... We'll okay. Okay. So, goodbye, everyone. Lovely to chat with you all. And as always, stay bendy.
Can we try it again?
Okay,
1,
fine.
2,
3.
Stay bendy. This is so long. It's too long.
That was better. All right, it's fine. Okay. This is what you're getting. And you'll like it. Okay.
A half-assed effort. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to Bendy, a Beth and Andy podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast and give us a follow on social media to keep up to date on what idiotic things we're up to. You can listen to all of our episodes, submit ideas for future podcast topics, ask us for advice, or submit a fart joke at bendypodcast.com. A huge thank you to all of our family and friends for supporting us on this passion project that gets us laughing every week. Our topic next week is actually going to be about laughter, where we talk about laughter clubs, what tickles our funny bone, and laughter is medicine. So please tune in to find out why laughing can make you pee. Thanks so much for being here.